Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this binding that you see here. It's called Flange Quilt Binding. So you've got this extra little piece right here all the way around. So I'm going to show you a really simple technique to put this on. So let's get started. For this block, I'm going to use this red, white, and blue star fabric as my flange. So you need to cut a strip that's 1 3/4 inches wide. And over here, this red is the other part of the binding. And you're going to need to cut that 1 1/2 inches wide. I'm going to show you how to cut out strips of fabric. Leave your fabric folded, selvage edges together. So up here is my fold line. First, straighten out your raw edge of your fabric. So I'm lining up my ruler on one of the lines on my cutting mat, and I'm going to trim this raw edge off. Now I'm going to cut out a strip that's going to be 1 1/2 inches wide. This is for the other part of the binding. This actually is going to show the most 1 1/2 inches. Now the number of strips you cut really depends on how big your project is that you're putting this on. For this little square that I'm doing in this demonstration, I only need 2. So I'm going to move my ruler over another 1.5 inches, line it up, and then cut my second strip. You would cut out your fabric for the flange the same way, except cut out the strips 1 3/4 inches wide. Then stack your strips together and you're going to trim these selvage ends off. So cut off the edges straight. Bring the ends of the 2 strips front sides together and stitch 1/4 inch. And you would do the same thing with the flange fabric. Then press your seams open. You're going to bring the 2 pieces front sides together, and you're going to stitch a very narrow 1/4 inch long here. Make sure your 1/4 inch seam doesn't get too big, otherwise you're going to lose your flange. When you're lining up your strips together, offset your seams. So here is a seam right here, and then here is the other seam. You don't want them on top of them. Don't match them up. Then go ahead and at your ironing board, press this seam on the back side all the way across. Then you're going to unfold and you're going to push against this seam. So you want to make sure the narrowest strip is on top, and with your iron, just gently push against that seam all the way down. Place the back side up, then fold the strip in half and press the full length. So this is what it's going to look like when you're done. You can see there's just a little bit of that white fabric that's sticking out. And then here's the back of the strip. Turn your project over so that you're looking at the back side of it. And this is where you're going to start placing your binding. So you want the narrowest strip face down, and this is the flange fabric showing face up. And I like to pin my binding because I have more control over it. Some people don't. Then go over 4 or 5 inches and stitch 1/4 inch all the way down to this corner, except stop when you get 1/4 inch away. Leave your needle down inside their fabric. Lift up the presser foot. Turn your project and stitch about 3 stitches into that corner. Then take it out of your machine and take the binding and fold it out like this. Then hold it with your finger or thumb, fold it over, line up this folded edge as well as making sure it's straight along this edge. Like I said, I like to pin. Then after you've finished pinning, then you're going to stitch this side down. So start right from the edge, stitch all the way down to the next corner, and you're still doing 1/4 inch seam. And every time you come to a corner, stitch right into that corner. When you get about 4 or 5 inches away from where you started, stop and take it out of your machine. Now you're going to overlap the two ends by about 1/2 inch and then cut the excess off. So you've got enough there for a seam. Then open this up, unfold your pieces, and you're going to bring the front sides of the two ends together. And I usually just fold my project, whatever it is I'm working on. I just fold it a little bit because it makes it easier. Then bring these two ends together and stitch 1/4 inch along there. Then finger press this seam open, fold it back in half, and finish stitching it down. After you finish stitching the binding on, then have the back side up, and at your ironing board, push against the binding, forcing it out away from the center of the block, and do it on all 4 sides. Then after you've done that, flip it over to the front, and then fold the binding over to the front and press, and this will help you force that binding to come over to the front side of your project. I like to place pins to hold my binding down. Let me show you how to fold these corners so you get that nice mitered look. I take a straight pin and press down and in, fold over. Make sure your flange fabric is lined up, and then place a pin to hold. Then you're going to stitch in the ditch. And the ditch is this seam right here. It's where the white and the red fabric come together. So that's the ditch. You're going to stitch right on the flange fabric, right up against the red, and stitch all the way around. And when you're doing corners, leave your needle down in that corner, lift up the presser foot, then turn your fabric, lower the presser foot, and continue stitching on down. Now, as far as thread goes, I'm using white on top because I'm stitching on that white, and then on the back, I'm using navy blue. This type of binding adds so much more character to a quilt, and it's just a few more steps to put on. Now, if you're interested in other quilting projects, go to the end of this video where you'll see a green screen and click on the links. If you enjoyed this video, please click on thumbs up. Also, click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on that little bell notification so that you receive emails about my latest video. I'm Cheryl. I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing!